There are 157 miles of underground tunnels in the Walsen mine. And this is on the west edge of Walsenburg. And I don't know which direction you came in from, but this is on the west edge, and Highway 160 goes across the top. But I was just saying, you don't want to build your house up there. And then it's got underground streams, so sometimes these miners were working on their knees in water. And it was a dangerous job. And because it's so dangerous, they each had a number. And in the morning, they would take it off the board.
Oh, they hung brass, yeah.
Yeah, brass checks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And in the evening, they'd put them back on to show they got out.
I used to do that when I was working at this one plant, Fort St. Vrain, and they had it for all the plumbers, welders, oil makers. Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Good plan. What was your dad's number?
You're so cute, darling.
Wow.
They choose you.
These are the same kind of tags they used on the carts that carried the coal they mined.
The bigger ones went on the coal cars.
Okay.
And sometimes they cheated the miners because they got paid by how much coal they brought out. And sometimes the company man did not weigh the coal properly. So in 1913-14, the miners went on strike. And one of the reasons was they wanted one of their men standing there too to weigh the coal.
Yeah. Was that the manslaughter? Did they have a killing here too? Of miners?
Yes.
And what was that one called?
That's part of the Ludlow massacre.
Ludlow. Oh, okay.
Yes.
I can't believe that.
Yes.
Even then,
Mm-hmm.
pecking order.
Especially then, because the corporations were very powerful and they controlled these miners. And partly they were able to control them were because they were immigrants and they spoke
Greeks, a
different
lot of Greeks,
language. We had
Yeah.
31 languages spoken here.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
And so they couldn't unionize very easily. So finally they went on strike.
I remember seeing some that the Greeks were the big dogs, the organizers.
Yes, partly because they were used to fighting back in Greece. They were good fighters.
Yeah.
And one of the men was Louis Ticus, and they shot him in the back of the head to get him out of the way. And this jail was used until 1989.
1989?
Yes. And the state said it was too unsanitary. So this jail cost $11,000 to build. That one across the street cost $2 million. Would you like to guess which one has the biggest cracks?
That one.
That one. This is more.
Probably you build it over a lunch.
No.
They checked, huh?
Yep.
They checked.
Okay, in here is about the strike. And it got so bad, it was called a war. And they brought in the state militia to keep the peace, only they were badly trained. So it got even worse. 4 men shot and killed in this vehicle. And when you go on strike, the miners get thrown out of their houses. 'Cause
Company store.
Yep, the company owned it. And so that winter, the miners and their families had to live in tents. And it was a bad winter. But it was a war. They had guard towers. They had searchlights, for example, up here. So, more than 75 people died, including the children.
This goes to show you, people have power,
Yeah,
don't have
when
enough.
they get together. Children went to work in the mines young. My father-in-law was 12 years old when he went to work in the mines, and the last year he worked, he was 72. So I don't want a job for 60 years.
Well,
Now, Ludlow, where the massacre occurred, is about 20 miles south of here on the interstate.
Oh.
And they, striking miners, were living in tents, but there isn't much room in a tent. So they put some of their possessions in pits under the tents. Shooting started. 11 children and 2 women got in this pit, but the tents caught on fire.
there was a railroad track down through there, right?
Right.
They were on.
Yeah. And so these 11 children and 2 women suffocated under the tents. If you go down today, there's a statue there. And about 11 years ago, someone came and cut the heads off
Oh, no.
of the statues. So if you go down there, look at the necks, because they made new heads and put them on, but you can see the line. This boy left the tent to get some water, and he was shot and killed. This is what the tents look like at Ludlow. They had maybe 1,000 people living in tents at Ludlow. So it was quite a time.
I still can't believe you knew my Aunt Philda.
I'm 92, so she was older than I was, but I remember.
What are these things? Is this a lunch bucket?
Yes, a
Like
special.
a bento box, huh?
Yeah, it looks like a bento box.
Well, you had your water
Oh.
and your food, and then the lid.
I
And
see.
it better be water if you're going down in the mine, and not something stronger.
Yeah. Accident. To avoid accidents.
Right. Those underground tunnels I showed you. This top picture shows what it looked like when the mine was operating. But then the mine closed, and the company didn't want to pay taxes on those buildings, so they cleared all the buildings off. And this is the way it looks now.
Oh.
Empty.
My dad was trying to get his black lung,
Mm-hmm.
and my sister ended up having to get affidavits from people, the transcribe,
Sure.
and then they went to one of the libraries in Colorado Springs, or the Air Force Academy, and when they said there was no records to prove, his point, they found it in the library,
Ah.
and they got the black lung.
Oh.
So there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff going on, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What's your name?
Newman.
Newman.
Carolyn Newman.
Well, thank you, Carolyn.
You're welcome.
These stories of the strike parallel the stories of the miners in southeast Kansas, where I'm from.
And what kind of mining?
Coal mining there as well.
Oh.
Shaft mining and then later strip mining, and probably what they did here as well. How deep are the shafts here?
No, we had slopes mostly.
Slope mining.
Yes, the mules could walk in, the miners could walk in or ride the cars in. And the mines are 400 to 1,800 feet deep.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah,
Must have been a nice large vein to.
veins. There are 3 main veins in different layers,
Uh-huh.
and they each have a name. And so the easy coal has already been mined. There's still coal there, but it's very deep. And there's not much demand for coal anymore because of pollution.
They're mining huge veins that are not very deep in Wyoming.
Yes.
And so the rest of us are not really, it's not profitable to mine the other coal because they're able to compete. They've got 70-foot veins 20 feet below the ground. We were digging down anywhere from 30 to 200 feet to get a 4-foot vein. And that just can't compete like that. And it was a higher sulfur coal as well.
And true here. And the safety regulations are stricter now and more expensive. And also, it's hard to find men who want to mine coal underground.
Well, no, they can't pay the kind of money it would take to get a man to go in a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
That's right. And the whole union struggle, I see you have United Mine Workers and John L. Lewis and all of that.
Right.
All the same stuff.
Well, we had something else going on here. We had the most corrupt sheriff in the history of Colorado. And there he is.
Well, that's not my grandfather.
I thought that was Rose.
And which one is he here now?
The coup.
This man here?
Yep,
Uh-huh.
What's his name?
Jeff Farr.
And what years was he? This is
His
kind of-
brother was sheriff first, and he was killed chasing an outlaw. So Jeff Farr was in
1916.
the early 1900s, and he rigged the elections, and the Supreme Court realized it and threw him out of office. And this was the woman who stood up to him, Mother Jones.
Oh, Mother Jones. That's
Yes.
sure. There's still a magazine named after her.
Right. She was an Irish woman, and he did not want her here because she organized unions. So he locked her up in the courthouse for most of a month.
Oh my
And
goodness.
till again the state got after him and made him release her.
Yay. Justice.
Yep. Well, I've got a special door for you.
Oh, this is scary. You got the key?
Yep. But I don't always use it.
You lost the other half of the door.
Curved doors. Try standing in the door. Notice how the
If you were the jailer, you might be afraid somebody's gonna jump out from the side.
Ah.
So you can stand here
uh-huh.
and check the corners.
I see.
Curved door.
So you can push it and come on in.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you.
Be careful with this.
Oh, it's good and heavy, but it's on a good, solid hinge.
Now
And
look,
this is-
look over your head. Those are rails from the mines.
Oh, they ran cars on those rails, like the little cart rails.
Right.
Huh.
I'm going to show you something. There we go. the early miners used a candle for light. They stuck it in the wall so their hands would be free. But we have a lot of explosive gases in our mines. So we had bad explosions. But did you know that a flame will not go through a screen?
Did not know that.
So some smart person devised a safety lamp. And there are 2 screens here. And the flame does not touch the explosive gases. And so this saved a lot of lives.
This is a Davy lamp. A Davy lamp will tell you by the size of the flame whether there is any explosive gas or whether you've got enough oxygen or not enough oxygen, or you've got too many other things in the air. We call them a Davy lamp.
And that was a brand name.
Oh, okay.
And this is a carbide lamp, but it has an open flame here. Water dripping on carbide releases a gas, and you light it, and you have a flame. But again, it's explosive. So the safety lamp replaced this too. Okay, you're in the jail.
And you lost your leg.
Yep, somebody lost their leg.
Oh my goodness. Dr. W.S. Chapman.
Chapman delivered a lot of babies around here. You better find out if he delivered any of your family.
What would it say on the birth certificate?
He was delivered at home. Well, it still might have been a doctor.
Might have been, yeah.
This would be like a tent during the strike. What people would have to stay in during the winter during a strike. Is the other lady coming in? Oh, there she is. We're gonna go into a mine here. Cool. Go. You want to go into our mine, ma'am?
There's the canaries. Their batteries must have died down,
Oh, wow.
huh? The canaries.
They're still alive. Some
Not
of them.
chirping.
Oh, yes, they are.
There you go. There you go.
That proves that there's enough oxygen in here. But if they die, you better get out.
Oh, I like this. You had me going for a minute.
Don't hold on to it.
Yeah, I almost did.
This man is chipping away at the bottom, so when they blast, the coal will fall down and he can shovel it into a coal car.
Gosh.
No wonder they had black lung, huh?
Yeah.
All that dust.
And he's drilling holes to put in explosives. They used black powder a lot, not dynamite so much.
Oh, so they packed it.
Yes. Black powder explodes slower. It doesn't shatter the coal as much.
If they don't do it right, they get a flame comes out of the hole. and if there's explosive, or if they would carry in explosives with them, and if they were nearby, there were several accidents happen because the fire would come out of the hole and ignite their powder that they had here to use for blowing. And we had several bad accidents in southeast
I
Kansas
learned
from
that
that.
the hard way, huh?
Yeah. Well, they had rules after that. They could only carry so much explosive but they broke the rules.
Yeah. Well, you know, they had to get so much work done.
Our worst
For sure.
explosion, there were 121 men were killed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's more than any of ours in Canada. Our worst disaster was 44 dead, and we had another one that was 22 dead.
That's bad enough, yeah.
Frontenac, Kansas, 44, and Stone City, Kansas, 22. And you had how many?
21.
And that was here in Walsenburg?
No, it was just south of Walsenburg.
And they came up with new regulations after that and such.
Sure.
But
You have to be pretty strong just to hang fucking auger like that.
Oh, wow. It's a lot, huh?
Yeah.
So how did you end up in Walsenburg then?
I came as a teacher and met a young man and married and never left. These are just the men who died in the mines in this county. We had nearly 500 die in this county.
in all of these countries we had as well. We had a lot of Scotland, Slovenia, Italy. I don't know of the others, but I know we had a lot of the Balkans. They call our area of southeast Kansas, they call it the Little Balkans. We got so many of them were from the Balkan countries.
We had recruiters at Ellis Island, and they would sign up the immigrants in New York City.
Oh. That's ridiculous.
Oh, there's a nice. Is this same Walsenburg
Yes.
before they tore the buildings down?
Yep.
So this is the jail. This was all part of the jail, and you left it all here and built the mine right in the jail.
Yes.
This is the jail itself is a real treasure. My goodness.
Well, if you have time, you can go around and see if you can find any names. They had time to carve their names.
In the metal.
Yep.
And there's a lot of paint on that, huh? You can even see through the heart.
Look, there's a Joe Mora.
Oh.
Very good, yeah.
Gotta get that.
Well, you can pick out your bunk. Which bunk would you like? This is actually 3 cells.
3 cells.
There would be 2 men here, 2 men here, and 2 men here.
So there'd be 6 men in this cell.
Yes. During the night, they are locked up, but during the day, they could walk around out in this center.
Common
part.
area.
Yeah.
We've got a mining museum in Franklin, Kansas. It's in an old Union Hall. It's called the Miners Hall Museum.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Is it open year round or?
Yes, it is.
We're open just in the summer.
This is what they cheated on?
No,
That's a
that's
bigger
the,
one?
this is the post office.
Oh,
Weighed the mail.
Oh, and these were balances that would weigh the smaller weights.
Railroad was important to the profit of the mines. Does your coal go out by rail or?
The railroads owned the mines to begin with, but then the law changed and they couldn't. The same people owned it after, but they separated from the railroad. And there were all kinds of mines. Of course, there were big corporations, big mines. My grandfather had a dinky. We called it a dinky, and it was just my grandfather and his boys, and I think a few of his friends. I really am not clear on exactly how they operated, but it was not a big mine. It was just, then they only operated in the winter and sold their coal locally to households to heat their homes or to cook with. And they operated into the 1930s.
Okay.
And they quit mining, I'm sure by 1940 they quit mining. And they used a donkey and not a mule.
Okay.
And the mule stayed in the mine all winter and worked the fields in the summer.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
We have several mining museums. We have a mining museum. We have a big museum in Baxter Springs, and a part of it's about mining. Every museum in Southeast Kansas, which there is a Southeast Kansas Museums Alliance, is 60 museums.
Oh.
And they all have something about mining.
Oh.
Almost all of them, except for the Martin and Osa Johnson Museum. The Safari Museum was about Martin and Osa Johnson, who were explorers. They went into the South Pacific, into Borneo and all of that. And we have a museum about them. They were from Chanute, Kansas. And it's a wonderful museum. And they did movies, and they had movies in the movie houses, and they're really very interesting. But yeah. Well, this has been very nice. Thank you very much. And what's your name?
Carolyn Newman.
Carol, and you're 93, you said?
92.
92. I don't want to rush you. It's coming along fast enough, isn't it?
Yep.
92. Well, thank you, Carolyn. And you're a volunteer, I imagine.
Yes.
Without the volunteers, there would be very few museums.
How true. Yes.
Thank you for all you do, Carolyn.
Well, thank you.
Sister, Philda.
Yeah.
Because, that's another story, but.
I've never seen one of this. This is from the company store.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they kept track of who owed what.
Yes.
Philda, we just came here today to put ashes up
Oh.
of my sister that went to the school up here. There's an old school where there's just the steps. Your husband's not here, is he?
No.
Son.
Yeah, my son.
He's
Oh,
gonna take a picture.
Cameron.
That's all right. I
That's
want to see
Cameron.
this thing. Wonderful.
And that's something. You're eagle-eyed, yeah.
That's great.
We found a headstone today. She found my dad's name out there on the wall.
Wow.
Oh, wow, that's a nice picture there. Okay.
Our shakers.
Oh, these were shakers?
Mm-hmm.
So anything smaller than that, you either didn't get paid for or got less for.
Mm-hmm.
Later, they were forced to pay for everything, but they still had trouble with the weighman.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were always trying to get to them somehow or another.
These walls.
Were made from shakers.
They're just
Wow.
we used to go for my Auntie and Fred would go down by the train tracks.